Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're doing something a little different.
Ooh, different how?
Well, usually we go deep into a specific movie or TV series, like the themes, the behind-the-scenes stuff, that kind of thing.
Right, right.
But this time we're focusing on the audience reaction, specifically the IMDb user reviews for the Netflix series Wednesday.
Interesting. So we're analyzing what the viewers thought rather than the show itself.
Exactly. And let me tell you, these reviews are all over the place. It's like everyone watched a different show.
Really? That different?
Yeah, it's fascinating. You got everything from instant cult classic to just another teen drama with a spooky filter.
Wow, so we've got some strong opinions to unpack here.
Definitely. But let's start with something almost everyone agreed on. Jenna Ortega as Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Everyone loved her.
Pretty much. The praise for her performance is overwhelming. And it's not just like, oh, she's good. People are saying she completely embodies Wednesday Addams.
Like she was born for the role.
Exactly. And that actually makes you wonder, could anyone else have pulled it off?
Good question. But this focus on Wednesday's character brings up another question. How does the show handle the rest of the Addams family?
Right, because you can't have Wednesday without the whole kooky family dynamic.
And that's where things get interesting. Some viewers felt the show nailed that classic Addams Family vibe, while others felt it strayed too far from the original.
A few even called it a betrayal.
Wow, strong words. So did the show genuinely miss the mark for some fans, or were expectations just too high?
Tough to say. But another thing that kept coming up in the reviews was Tim Burton's influence. Words like dark, spooky, and visually stunning were everywhere.
Yeah, you can definitely see his signature style in the show's aesthetic, but did reviewers see that as a good thing?
That's the thing. Some loved it, praising the show's unique atmosphere, but others felt Burton's style was too overbearing, like it overshadowed the characters and the plot.
So too much of a good thing.
Maybe. One reviewer even compared it to being trapped in a Burton theme park.
Ha ha, I can see that. But this whole style debate also ties into another big question. Who is the show actually for?
Right. Some reviewers thought it was clearly aimed at younger audience, calling it a teen drama with a gothic makeover.
And that brings up those inevitable comparisons. Harry Potter, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, even Riverdale.
It seems like the whole school for outsiders trope is either a hit or miss. Did Wednesday manage to rise above it, or did it fall into those familiar traps?
And that actually raises a bigger question for viewers in general. Are we always looking for something truly original, or are we drawn to familiar elements, even if they're predictable?
It's like we want that balance of novelty and nostalgia. Kind of like how the show used that haunting cover of Nothing Else Matters by Apocalyptica. What did you think of that music choice?
Definitely a bold move.
Yeah, it's not exactly your typical Addams Family music, is it?
Not at all. But it really worked, didn't it?
It did. Most of the reviews I saw were really positive. People were saying it perfectly captured Wednesday's kind of dark and brooding personality.
Yeah, that makes sense. It almost becomes another character in the show, adding this extra layer of emotion to everything.
Exactly. And it actually makes me wonder, do the people who loved that music choice also tend to be the ones who enjoyed the show's overall aesthetic?
Oh, that's an interesting thought, because remember, we were just talking about how some viewers found Tim Burton's style a bit overwhelming?
Right, so maybe there's a connection there. Maybe if you love that dark, gothic vibe, you're also more likely to appreciate Apocalyptica's Metallica cover.
Yeah, could be. It'd be interesting to see if there's actually any data on that.
Definitely. But speaking of aesthetics, we can't forget about the cinematography.
Ah, yes, the visuals.
The reviews I read were constantly answering how striking the visuals were. They used words like atmospheric and cinematic.
Well, that's where the skill of the filmmakers really shines through. It's not just about the story, it's about how you bring that story to life visually.
Right, through things like camera angles, lighting, and composition.
Exactly. And when it's done well, it really draws you into the world of the show.
It's like the visuals are telling a story all their own. And speaking of unsettling visuals, let's talk about the casting of the other Addams Family members.
Ah, yes. This is where the reviews were all over the map.
Some people thought they were perfectly cast, others weren't so sure.
Well, it's always tough to reimagine iconic characters. Everyone has their own idea of what they should look and sound like.
Especially with a family like the Addamses. They're so well-known and loved.
Exactly. And what's interesting is how these reactions often come down to personal preference.
Like with Uncle Fester, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Some viewers loved his quirky portrayal. They felt it was true to the original.
While others thought he was way too over the top.
Exactly. So it seems like everyone has their own internal image of what each Addams family member should be like.
Yeah, and when the show deviates from that, it can throw people off. But there was one casting choice that seemed to be a hit across the board.
You mean Thing?
Thing, that disembodied hand, it was a fan favorite.
For sure. And it's funny because Thing doesn't even have any lines.
Nope, no dialogue at all. But it's amazing how much personality they were able to convey through just the movement and the way it interacts with the other characters.
Yeah, there was some seriously impressive puppetry and camera work going on there.
Definitely. And I think what makes things so effective is that it taps into those primal fears and fascinations.
You know, it's both familiar because it's a human hand and completely alien at the same time.
Exactly. And maybe that's part of what makes Wednesday so captivating as a whole.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's a show that plays with those familiar elements, like the classic Addams Family dynamic.
Right?
But then it subverts those expectations with a darker, more modern twist.
And that kind of brings us back to those comparisons with shows like Harry Potter.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, they both deal with similar themes, like chosen families, coming of age, and navigating a hidden world.
Right, right.
But Wednesday does it with this, cynical edge.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's definitely got a different tone than something like Harry Potter.
Exactly. It's like Wednesday is commenting on the whole school for outsiders trope. It deconstructs the familiar elements while still embracing the appeal.
It's like, we've seen this before, but what if we make it darker, more complex?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that willingness to challenge conventions might be why the reviews are so divided.
It makes sense. Some people love that darkness and complexity, while others find it off-putting.
Like they feel it betrays the original spirit of the Addams Family.
And that's the beauty of art. It sparks these kinds of discussions.
It challenges our perceptions and makes us confront our own biases.
There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to something like Wednesday.
It's all about how you, as an individual viewer, engage with it.
How you interpret it.
And ultimately, whether you love it or hate it. And that brings us to the most important question of all.
The big one.
What do you think?
After hearing all these different perspectives, all these passionate opinions.
Are you intrigued?
Or are you hesitant?
Maybe a little bit of both.
That's totally fair. These reviews are just a glimpse, a taste of what people are saying.
It's up to you to decide what you think.
To form your own opinions.
Yeah, dive into the world of Wednesday yourself.
See if it lives up to the hype.
Or maybe you'll discover something completely different.
Something that speaks to you personally.
Maybe you'll find it brilliant and subversive.
Or maybe you'll think it's a total flop.
But no matter what you decide.
We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity.
Got you thinking about the show in a new way.
Because sometimes the best part of watching something isn't just the experience itself.
It's the conversations that come after.
The debates, the connections.
Let's keep those conversations going.
Share your thoughts with friends, family, online.
Let's keep exploring these ideas together.
And before we go, one final thought to leave you with.
Imagine you had the chance to create your own Addams Family adaptation.
What would you kit?
What would you change?
Would you lean into the darkness?
Or try to capture that original lighthearted spirit?
It's something to think about.
And that's it for our deep dive into the world of Wednesday IMDb reviews.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Thanks for listening.